Hey everyone, welcome to Love to Create by Tanya. Today I'm going to be working on the farmhouse style Valentine's Day decor. So we'll go ahead and get started. For DIY number one, we're going to be making a Love Always heart. For this design, I took one of the large wood hearts from Dollar Tree. And then I just used some of this cardstock paper that I had in my craft box. And I'm just going to be applying this with a glue stick. The glue stick seemed to help the paper not have any bubbles. Now I had these little stickers left over and I decided to use the Always across the front here. And then I took my arrow that I purchased at Dollar Tree also, and I just watered down some of that Waverly black ink chalk paint to make it appear like a stain, and then rubbed a little bit of that off with one of the baby wipes. Now I'm going to go ahead and just use some hot glue and apply my arrow to the front of the heart the way I would like it placed. And then I decided to take my black marker and just go around the edges to just kind of give that little aged look and finish it off. And then I decided to just attach this little mini rose bouquet right to the bottom, add the rope twine back to the top for hanging. And now this one is done. I love how this one turned out, and I hope you do also. For DIY number two, this is Kiss Me, My Love. And for this design, I took one of these heart picture frames from the Crafter Square section at Dollar Tree, and then some of their wrapping paper that had a vintage kind of floral design. And I just did the same technique. I applied that with a glue stick and just use my little mini roller to smooth that out. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested in one of those little rollers or any of the tools that I'm using. And then I decided to take that contact paper, and I did save that little heart pattern that I took out of the heart window there, and that made it real easy for me to cut out the shape of the wood look on the contact paper. But the Greenery vine here, also I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And I just love the way that looks. It's a real neat little way to finish some of your items off, and you get quite a bit on the roll. Now here I am taking that heart like I was saying and just using that as a pattern to cut out my wood tone contact paper. And you could put a picture in here if you like, but I'm going to end up using some of those little stickers that they have now at Dollar Tree, and I just thought that would just be a fun little design for the Valentine's Day season. I decided to add one of those little grapevine hearts, and I just love the way that looked after I applied it. I almost decided just to leave it by itself without any stickers on it, but I wanted to go ahead and use the stickers just so you could see some of them. And then I did decide to go around the outside edges with that little greenery vine because I was just loving how that looked. Now here's some of those new stickers that they have out now. And I just thought I'd pop that little love one on there and then put Kiss Me in the middle. And we got our little stick on the back, and this one's done. Now for DIY number three, Happy in Love, I did something real simple again with the contact paper, and I'm also trying to use up some of my things in my craft box. And I had lost the clip on this, but I just applied that contact paper and stained that little box with the Waverly antique wax. And then I'm just going to glue that to the front. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just take two of these little wood bunnies, and I'm just going to apply a coat of that Waverly white chalk paint. And I'll pop those right on the front of the heart, facing each other. And then I'm going to add more of that greenery vine around there because I think that just finishes these designs off. And then I'm going to use one of the little heart stickers and place right on the front. And I think this makes just a fun and simple little decoration that you can set up now for Valentine's Day and right straight through the spring and summer season. Well, everyone, after we get our little greenery around the heart, and I do add a little bit more around that small heart, we'll call this one done. And you'll have to let me know if you're enjoying these DIYs and which one is your favorite. Now, I have a really unique one coming up at the end of the video. It's an old farm truck, and what I tried to do was make it look like an old truck setting up in a field with some greenery and stuff growing out of it. Well, here's our little happy one with the bunnies. Now we'll start on DIY number 4, Heart to Heart. In this design, I'm just going to take one of these picture frames that I purchased at Dollar Tree. I'm going to add some of these stock papers that look like wood. I did have to cut just a little bit off the second sheet of paper to make it fit. And then I just took more of that greenery, and I'm going to use that to tie on 2 of those grapevine hearts and just have them hanging down. And then I'm going to use the stencil and all of the supplies except the scrapbooking paper was from Dollar Tree for this design. And when I use my stencils, I like to use that chalk pencil sometimes, especially if I'm not quite sure if I can get the lettering to be in the right place. That way at least you can kind of wipe it off if you use the chalk first. But it did turn out really well, and I just decided to outline it with the black magic marker and then color a few areas in. And I pretty much decided just to leave this one as it was. And I love how simple this design was, so I'll definitely be picking up a few more of those picture frames. I did add just a couple of the little white foam hearts to the top just for some color. And here is our little heart to heart. For DIY number 5, it's called Love Blooms, and I just took some of those little flower pots and wrapped a little bit of that red ribbon around there, and then I used the pool noodle to put down in the middle for the foam of the flowers to pop in, and added a little bit more of that greenery. I think I was really stuck on that greenery today. I was using it on everything, but it just adds a cute little accent. Now I end up taking some of my boxwood greenery and a few of the little roses that I had, and I just popped them down in there. Of course, I did want to add this little burlap. I just thought that made a neat little farmhouse feel to these designs. And then I used some of those little hearts that are the chalkboard hearts that they have there at Dollar Tree, and I just stenciled the word love on those, and I did the same word on all of them. That way, if I kind of wanted to just set one here, set one there in the house, I could. Just to add that little bit of something for the Valentine's Day holiday. But this one was just another quick and simple design, and I like how it turned out, and I hope you do also. And I love that boxwood. That's a really good greenery. I've been using a lot of that lately. Okay, and our final DIY number 6, the old farm truck. I hope you're still here for this one. I took one of those large hearts again, and I'm just going to cover that with some of this cardstock paper that has that shiplap type look to it. But I am going to age that up a little bit more. Now I am applying it with the glue stick, but I do go back over the front top of it with the Mod Podge to make it bubble. And the reason why I decided to do that is because of the way I'm going to be painting the old truck. And I wanted the board behind it to have that real old look. Now I'm just going to use my little utility knife here to cut this out. If you don't have one of those, you can just actually just draw around it and cut it out with scissors. Now you can tell I've got my boards kind of laying sideways, but it's because I'm going to do the heart that way. And see how neat that made it look, where I caused the paper to bubble. It made those little marks in there. I do go back over this and make it a little brighter with some white chalk paint, but I like how that turned out. Now I found this cardstock paper that looked like the green moss. Actually, when I get done with this design, you can't see that too much, but I still like the idea of it. Of course, I'm just going to finish these edges off with some of that antique wax paint and age it up a little bit. Because at this point in the design, I didn't know how much I was going to be covering up. Now I do decide to put the heart in that slot where the truck actually sat. And I picked up that truck at Dollar General, which that's a really neat little wood truck. Now here's where I do something really neat with the truck design. I end up just taking that leftover paint and going over the hearts, but I end up actually placing some wood hearts over top of those, so I really didn't have to do that. But I don't know if you can see that piece of cardstock paper there. That is actually supposed to be an old birch bark. And when I looked at it, it reminded me of what the rust on this old truck would look like. So I kind of let my design follow through from this piece of paper. And once I got it on there, you'll be able to see it does kind of look like the truck is rusting in places, which I thought it just give a really neat look to the effect of an old truck setting up on a hill somewhere. And I know in our area where I'm from, we actually have a lot of these old trucks setting up in the hills in different places. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue this on with a glue stick. And I don't know if you can see that, how it just kind of has that where it looks like maybe it's rusting down there at the bottom. But as I'm working on it and painting in the different colors, you'll see how it all comes together. Now I'm just going to take my black marker and color in the wheels, and then I use that gold marker that I purchased from Dollar Tree. I think they have like a gold and silver, and I kind of go over that middle part where the wheel has that heart shape. And then I'm just going to go around these edges and start outlining a few places. And now I'm just going to draw in kind of that hump over each tire just to start framing this out to make it look a little more realistic. And you'll see me use several different colors. Now I'm using that gold just to kind of sketch in there a little bit to add more to a little bit of that age rusty look. And then I take a little black and just run some lines through there. And the reason why I'm just doing that is because you can tell I'm just smearing like some different colors. Now I'm taking a little bit of that leftover antique wax and just anything I can add to just kind of make it have that age look to it. I'm just going to outline a few things around the window and then just add a little bit more color. And you can see already how it's starting to just look like an old truck. Now I am going to use some of that, it's a light blue color of chalk paint. And I'm just going to kind of take and brush that in a few little places on the body of the truck because I don't want to cover up too much of it because that would take away from that effect of it looking like it's rusty. I just remembered the color is called Mineral. It's Mineral Chalk Paint by Waverly. Is the light blue color I'm going to put on there. And like I said, when you apply this, you just want to like pick little areas and very lightly just paint on a little bit. And then I'll add it a little darker tones as I move maybe up to the top of the truck. Like I said, you don't want to lose that aged look of the paper. Now I'm just going to keep adding that mineral in places until I can get a look that I like. And then I do decide to take a little bit of that, you'll be able to see, and just drag over the top of the tires there, just the faintest amount of it showing through. Everyone, you'll have to let me know what you think of our old farm truck, and if you like this design. And you can see when I hold that up closer how it's really starting to have that rusty effect. And I can't believe that it was this cardstock paper that looked like bark that inspired this design, but that's creativity. Now I am going to go over everything with some Mod Podge and just kind of seal it in. And actually I do go back and put a few more highlights on top of the paper, which you can do that with that Mod Podge. You can paint right over top of it and then put another coat if you like. But I just wanted to get some kind of glaze on there so I could see how everything was starting to look. Now I just take my leftover antique wax and put that on the back because I always like to finish the back. I'm going to dry everything real well with my little heat gun. Now I end up taking some of those little tumbling blocks that I had already had in my box painted, and that's what I'll be making a little bridge for the truck to stand up on. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add that white paint on top of there that I was telling you about. I was giving that plenty of time to dry because it was pretty wet. And see how that aged bubbly looking behind that white paint really added to the old look of it. Now here's where I'm just going to make me a little wall out of those tumbling blocks, and that'll be what will hold the truck on the front. And you can tell I put those little blocks right on the very edge, and that's because I wanted to leave like a little slot for me to be able just to pop my greenery in, because in this design I want to make it look like that greenery is kind of growing over the truck and through the windows. I'm going to use up that extra stain there on the back of the heart again. Now I've decided that I wanted to have some color. So that's when I get into my cardstock paper and I pick out some of those kind of a vintage floral print, and I add some of those little wood hearts to the top here. In a moment you'll see that. Now this is some of the greenery that I actually picked this up at Hobby Lobby, and it kind of looks like little bells hanging down, but I like the color of it, so that's what I decided to go with. And you can see what I'm doing. I was just kind of poking it down in there, and I wanted it kind of hanging through the window because I thought that would just look like that old truck was setting up on the hill and everything started to grow around it and up through it. And you could use any kind of greenery for this, or you could even have the flowers popping out of your truck. Well, everyone, you will have to let me know which one of these DIYs has been your favorite. I definitely enjoyed doing this little old farm truck. Now I'm just detailing some of the places to make it look like the wood. I'm just going to add just a few little accents, maybe outline up a little bit more of those little humps going over the tires, and add a little doorknob there, and just little details that make it have a more realistic look. Now here's where I decide to go ahead and add some of the cardstock in the floral prints. And for my design, I decided just to use I think it was 3 different ones. I wanted to use this one that had kind of the old wood look with the roses, and then I found a couple more little florals that I added to there. And I even took some of that moss colored cardstock paper and covered over one of the little hearts. Now I did decide to take some of these little rub-on letters, and I just thought "Let Love Grow" was so appropriate for this little old truck. And so I just popped that on up to the top there, and I did that so I could add a few more of the little hearts underneath it. Now I decided to use these that were just a little bit brighter color. I just really like the flowers. I thought that would be such a fun little design that I could just take this right straight through again from the Valentine's Day holiday and through the spring and summer season. Well, everyone, I am sure loving how this design has turned out. You'll have to let me know if you do. And here's where I'm just going to finish this one off with that little moss heart. Just do a few more little detailing effects with my black marker. And then I forgot, I do add this little sign to the side of the door, and I put X and O, X and O. Well, everyone, here's DIY number 6. Well, everyone, that's our DIYs for today. And if you enjoyed this video, I sure hope you give it a thumbs up, because that really does help YouTube notice my channel a little bit more. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you consider doing so. And if you are a subscriber, I thank you so much for your support. Well, everyone, I will see you on the next one. Have a great week.